Hi everyone. So in this video today, I just thought I would do a 20-minute video. It turned out to be of me painting this bird. It is a bird that I saw while watching the new Netflix documentary called Dancing with the Birds. And this bird in particular is under the category of artists because it'll grab little twigs and it will create like a tower of twigs to impress the female bird. And I thought this little bird was beautiful. So I took a picture of the bird when I paused the documentary. And then with my daughter, I sat down and I drew it with my Colorese pencil. And I just love drawing birds. I love their big eyes, and it's like they have these cute proportions with the big eyes, and some of them have the small beaks. And it was just a joy while my littlest little was napping to grab my Copic markers and my polychrome pencils and just sit down and color. I had my headphones on. I was listening to, I think, YouTube videos and just drawing. And so I thought it was the perfect moment to create a little video and chat with you guys. Unfortunately, my hand is in the way in a lot of this video. I'm very sorry. And I kept on looking back and forth, lifting the page up to check and see what it looked on the other side. I just love seeing the reverse side of ink marker illustrations. They just look so magical to me. And with this paper that I have, the ink really spreads, and it's kind of magical to see it just spread across the page. And it really doesn't bother me. I like that effect. I'm not looking for anything perfect. But while I was drawing, or really coloring this one in, I noticed that in the beginning it was quite streaky. And I didn't quite get it because in my previous video with the dragon, where I was rediscovering my markers that I had found, it didn't happen. But then again, I was using Winsor Newton brush markers, and probably it's because the tip there is very spongy. But with this one, with this bird, as you can see, I'm only using my Copic markers. And so I was really frustrated to see all the streaks. But then I would go back and forth and just really mix in the colors, and it got much better. However, with this paper, it would absorb the ink so quickly that there were areas that you could really tell had dried too fast before I was able to blend it in. And so it was a little bit frustrating. But either way, I mean, as I said, I'm not a big fan of perfect art. I've said that before. I like to see brush strokes and even the mistakes and the little notches. It just really gives that piece or that illustration or that doodle or sketch so much more history. Because if it's perfect, there's really nothing to question. Everything is in the right place, while if there are imperfections, then you really wonder what happened in that moment. Was it a mistake? Was it intentional? Why is it there? It makes the piece so much more lively because you are actually interacting with it and asking these questions to understand it even better. And the colors of this bird are very warm autumn colors. And so I decided to play around with the warmth. And I used a lot of earth tones, orange tones, and then one of my favorite markers, which is the R02. which is the rose salmon color. I absolutely love it. It's such a pale salmon color. And I added that at the end just to give a little bit of pinkness to it. So it was a lot of fun just go back and forth between the colors. First I started with a peachy earthy color, and then I went in with my very light yellow, the lightest yellow that I have, and really tried to mix it in. And then I would go back to a little darker earth tone and even more of a gray tone. And another one of my favorites that I use almost at the end of this illustration is the E71, which is called Champagne. Oh, I love this color. It's absolutely beautiful. And I didn't swatch before. I just decided to quickly color this little bird. I didn't know how much time I was going to have. So I kind of picked the colors randomly and I tried to go from the lightest to the darkest. And as you can see here, this is when I'm using the champagne color. And it was, I don't know, I just get so much delight seeing the colors being absorbed by this paper. It's quite magical. I'll try to get it on film of how quickly it's absorbed. It's just, and while it's absorbing, you see it spread, and it does this like hairline motion through the fibers of the paper. I just absolutely love to watch it. Sometimes, even though I knew that there was enough color on the page, I would just saturate the paper even more just to watch it spread. It's like watching watercolors in water or ink. When you have a puddle of water and you add ink to it and it just bursts. It was the same thing with the Copic markers on my Midori sketchbook. It's quite funny how the experience was completely different comparing it to the Winsor & Newton, even though I also had spreading there, but it was a bit different. It acted a bit different. But yeah, so here I was just, doing little dabs of color. You can see the bit of streakiness between the orange and the peach color that I used on the breast of the bird. And so I went in with the champagne to add streaks, little, like, you could say patches of darker color. I went back and forth and back and forth. And I really enjoy doing this type of brush stroke with these Copic markers, just little streaks. You press down and lift it up at the end to create more of a finer point, you could say, of these oblong shapes. It was just a lot of fun, and that's when the bird started having more character once I added these blotches, you could say, of color. And it is amazing that when I'm able to just sit down and draw in the mornings, it just makes the rest of the day lighter. I'm able to recharge and be more available. I mean, being a mom, especially with 3 kids and moving to a foreign country, is a lot to deal with. Luckily, I have a lot of experience with being a foreigner, as I've already done that 2 other times in my life. The first time when I was 10, my mother and I moved to Colombia to live with the family, and at that time I refused to speak any Spanish. We had been living in the States for the first 10 years of my life, and I was 100% American. I told my mother that I would only speak English, and I would refuse to speak Spanish to her. I was very stubborn. And so when I moved to Colombia, I went to school and I was bombarded with Spanish, and I had no idea what they were saying. And it was quite the effort, but it was also the best thing that ever happened to me. And I remember feeling foreign. Everything was so different. Even though it was my family, my heritage, it still felt so foreign to me. And then again, when I moved to Germany, I was completely out of my element, because if you compare Latin culture to German culture, they're so different to each other. And even though I had learned the language at the university, when I arrived to Germany, I couldn't speak a word. I didn't understand anything. I had no idea what was to be done, how things needed to be done, because everything was done differently. And now here in France, despite never really living in a French-speaking country or living among French people, I find the culture to be very familiar. And I do remember a lot of the French that I learned in university. So it has been a combination of feeling foreign at times and being able to stand on my own 2 feet and understand people and be able to do things and get things accomplished. Well, when I look back at how I was feeling and living in Germany, I really felt like I was incapable. While here, I feel quite well grounded. So it's a interesting experience, and to notice that you can actually learn and be comfortable with feeling foreign. It's a complex emotion to describe and sensation, but feeling foreign is something you can get used to. And so far here in France, I've only had positive encounters and experiences. It's been quite a joy. And for my kids, I can see how they are really trying. My daughter, she's so courageous and sociable, and she's been interacting with people even though she doesn't speak the language. But she gets it. Kids just get it. And my son too, he grasps onto things very quickly. So it's been a wonderful experience. But back to this drawing, I really did need this downtime of 20 minutes to just color this bird and just have fun with it, to recharge, because as I was saying, having 3 kids and moving, it's a lot of work, a lot of work, because you need to be there for the kids. You need to be there for your husband. You need to be there to set up house, because if the house is set up and the family members can feel at home, it really helps with their overall well-being. And that's part of the stay-at-home parent, in this case a mother, job and role, and that's really unappreciated, because to create a home, it takes a lot of work. So here in this part of the drawing, I'm just adding in the darker area, and I did not want to use black for this bird, only for some line work. And so here I'm using another one of my favorite colors, which is the V99 Aubergine. I love this color. It's a violet. It's a very dark violet. It's actually the color, or a bit lighter. My prom dress was this color, Aubergine, I remember. But this, as I said, is a bit darker. Oh, but I love this color. So I wanted to use it for the beak and for the eye. And for the beak, I only went over it once, I believe. But for the eye, I went over once, and then I went over it again. And then later, I added on the line work. So I added a bit more depth with black in the corners of the eye to create that more spherical shape. And then just a little bit of aubergine throughout the illustration to add some shadowing. And once I was done with that part, I grabbed my pencils and my Uniball pen. First my Uniball pen, and then I did some black lines because I don't like it when everything is perfectly outlined. It just looks too artificial. I'm not a fan of that. So I just did every now and then, and it's usually an interrupted line and a shaky line to it as well, because I really don't like straight lines, and also my pulse won't allow me to create a straight line. So it's interrupted, and I wanted to add also some more of the creases where the mouth is, where the beak then transforms into the body, or joins the body, you could say. And just add little speckles of black towards the under part of the beak, creating more of a continuous shadow instead of a break between the aubergine and then the brown feathers. I needed a transition there of the black. And then just adding some darker shadowing, you could say, minimal, very minimal black lines throughout the chest and body of the bird. But I saw that some hatching was missing next to the eye, where it's a bit darker in that area. It just didn't look right. So I then later added some longer lines to that darker area where I used champagne and my other dark brown, which is sepia. I also love sepia. And then I really thought that the bird was looking quite complete. The only thing that was missing then was adding some texture with my pencils. And I always love that part of it. I first started with the white one. After using my gel pen, I believe I used as well the white, let me see, I think this is, Uniball Signal white gel pen later on to create some highlighting around the eyelids and also some white feathers around the body, the chest, below the eye, near the beak. And then finally I added my color pencils. Okay guys, so thank you for keeping me company during these 20 odd minutes as I was coloring my little bird. Let me know if you enjoy these type of videos where it's just real time me drawing and a voiceover. A simple video, continuously filmed and quasi continuously spoken over. Yeah, if you enjoy these type of videos, I can create more of them because I actually find them quite relaxing. So you guys have a great day. Bye.